AI, blockchain, and the SDGs, the future vision.
But it's my pleasure to actually follow up on everything that has been said today already. So, actually, Laura, would you like to add something to to your speech? I mean, these initiatives within the European Union, this is amazing. This is a fantastic use case, I think, for blockchain and for DLTs, and this is what exactly we're looking for when talking about use cases.
Maybe to add, to give it, because I think it's always, of course, it's good to talk about concepts, but I think it's always better to understand it with examples. I'm just kind of bring more examples. Another thing where I think blockchain is important when it comes to like SDGs is, for example, digital measurement and reporting. Very important because I can monitor and verify everything from recycling. It's very similar to the DPP, but it's not tied to the TPP. It could be tied to any sector. One project looking at it is DEMIA. So if you want to Google it and take a closer look, that's super interesting because they also introduced then certificates. You have everything like everything basically transparent there. You exactly know how the data has been produced, and very cool, which I haven't seen so far in other use cases, is they have a confidence score. So, because I mean, I can have the data on the DLT, but how can I know, like, because we have still the human error, because sometimes we have data that we have still to input. There are different data sources. So you can basically look at the confidence score and have a look how much you can trust that data, which is super cool. And these confidence scores are even connected to the DLT, and like commitments are on the DLT. And yeah, with that's one example. Another example, like the supply chain case, of course, TLIP, super interesting and very nice project. They look at like a project in Kenya, also based on IOTA. They, for example, look in supply chain, like they solve the supply chain problem, so to say, by using the DLT for shipping flowers. And there they also use it as a trust layer, and also a very nice example to look up. And lastly, I think one more, like apart from carbon credits, I think microfinancing for farmers is also a very nice example. So connecting actually even maybe consumers with farmers that want to support the farmers, and use basically tokens for the exchange of investments. And that's just to sum it up. There are many, many more, but
many
just
more,
to name a few.
in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
So actually, I wanted to start, back it up a little bit and try to define SDGs. What does it mean these days? I know that the term has been around for a while. So what does SDG stand for today? How has it been developed? What we're looking for? Which goals are we pursuing? Would you like to start, or? Okay.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mihaela Ulieru. I'm working with SingularityNet, and I think I am on this panel to bring the artificial intelligence dimension.
The artificial intelligence part, yes.
Yes, exactly. And of course, the SDGs as well, because I'm also president of the Impact Institute for the Digital Economy. The Sustainable Development Goal have been defined long ago, and the previous speaker before you from IOTA also presented all the SDGs. So the idea is that we are aiming to build a sustainable world by achieving certain goals, like no poverty, health for everyone, democratization for everyone, rights for women, and so on and so forth. So these goals are achievable, of course, but also through technology. However, not only through technology, through bigger awareness as well, and by bringing the humanity together and making us more aware, as you do with those digital passports. One more thing I wanted to say in the beginning is that I'm a great fan of IOTA. First of all, it's a sustainable blockchain through its computational technology. I've been good friends with Dominic and David since the very beginning of IOTA. Yes, and a great friend. We were working on supply chain at the time, and of course, a circular economy is part as a result of the supply chain of a sustainable supply chain. Yeah, I do not know what more do you want me to say about the Sustainable Development Goals, because I have many examples of projects. And,
Of course. So my point was there are more and more ways to achieve these goals every year, and especially with DLT. And actually, it's one of my favorite topics, to be honest, especially for supply chains, for digital IDs. There are more and more use cases in all parts of the world every year. More and more companies, more and more developments. So for blockchain, this is, I guess you covered a lot of it for DLT. How about artificial intelligence? We had a fantastic AI track yesterday. We talked about so many use cases in wellness for AI and blockchain, right? We talked about ethics, regulations. So how does...
I think the keyword when it comes to artificial intelligence, because now the computational power and the amounts of data enable that, is what I call awareness-based decision-making. So think about the smart building, smart transportation, in which can be done automatically. But what if when you are throwing that bottle, which has the passport, yes, your chatbot is telling you, well, this will kill, if you do not recycle it, it will kill, I don't know, one dolphin, or it will not get composted for 100 years. Then you get more awareness. On the other side, you can also unleash the collective, let's call it impact mob, for cleaning around your area through apps like, for example, Open Litter Map, which is also offering maps for that are evaluating the pollution in various areas. And in that way, through that map, you can contact your, let's say, city council to give you the resources and to organize that kind of collective cleaning. We are working at SingularityNet for the next level beyond smart, or smart city, smart transportation, smart buildings that are going to, let's say, control the energy spending much smoother and much better. We call that the conscious city, in which the awareness of the technology, because we are working towards the singularity, exceeds our ability to be aware, because they can collect much more data from the environment, from everywhere, and they can inform us. And with that, it's like we have an extra layer of awareness which can guide us to a better behavior. So I think that's an important aspect of the artificial intelligence dimension. And if I may, just one more, because of the it was discussed as well here as the controversy and the policy and the greenwashing and so on with sustainability. Artificial intelligence can also enable us forecast the impact of a policy before it is applied. So, for example, a climate policy, will it do more damage, or will it really do the right thing? So that's, again, related to the awareness-based decision-making.
Speaking of awareness, have you been working with regulators? What is their attitude towards this?
Yes, I mean, the regulators are always catching up to technology. As you know, they are always behind. But the United Nations has organized this year, and I've been there, the AI for Good Summit. We are also organizing the Beneficial Artificial General Intelligence Summit next year. And the United Nations, the ITU, is organizing a second edition of the AI for Good Summit. They are very interested and, of course, willing. And, of course, there are a lot of panels, a lot of buzz. In the US, for example, the White House has done the, let's say, rules for artificial intelligence task force. The OECD has a task force with experts emphasizing the need for new policies. But this is, again, work in progress. We do not have clear policies yet. There's a lot of fear. And I think, you know, we at SingularityNet have another take. So it is, if we design the artificial intelligence with the right business ethics, I think that is the way to the good in it. Otherwise, regulation won't do too much because we will always find ways to go over and behind the scenes.
I guess for blockchain, it's a little bit different, or is it the same?
Well, right now, when talking to regulators, to be really honest, we see a little bit hesitance because like much more focus is given to AI because the comments were like there haven't been a really large scale use case in blockchain covering so much, like as I always call it like kind of the ChatGPT moment. We didn't have the ChatGPT moment yet for blockchain, and regulators observed that, and they still follow through. They still have like for trying to accomplish EBSI and also in that regard sustainability. But we currently observe a little bit more hesitance there. But I think in that regard, it's important then to see how technologies can help each other achieve sustainability and the SDG goals. So if we see a little bit not the development we want in blockchain, and we actually know it can be used for a lot of things, I'd rather look of how we can combine those two things. For example, blockchain and AI. And as we are sitting here in the panel talking about,
Are you using any AI applications in your work or for any projects?
Well, there are projects. There is one project that is using IoT, AI, and blockchain. It's Signa, it's called, and farming. So they are basically using AI to and IoT to monitor everything and to get the data. And then blockchain is basically helps as an infrastructure layer, and AI basically to predict specific actions, or what shall I do basically to take care of my field and land. So that's a very nice example right now we see, and I see having more of these convergence within the projects can help also, so that people see, okay, blockchain has its function. Not everywhere, as we heard in the prior panels, but I think blockchain can work like the trust layer, and AI as the brain, the thinker. And I really like what Mihaela said, like the awareness part is also super important. So looking at it through this,
And if I may, because that's exactly this marriage, blockchain, artificial intelligence, has one more big advantage, and that is the data privacy. Because so we do not process the data in a central database, but now we can keep it private. And there is a particular technology which is called hypercycle, which is doing that. So it enables to process encrypted data. So it encrypts it, but then you can decrypt it if needed. And then you can put it in a pod, but still keep the privacy. And that is very important. We are also developing based on that, because you mentioned the global brain. Yes, so based on knowledge graphs. So in order to enable the democratization of artificial intelligence as well, so everybody can have access, but everybody can also contribute to it. So SingularityNet is one of the very few projects which develops artificial intelligence on blockchain. And it is a democratic project. So there are many other applications, like gaming. Of course, we are here at Sigma. We have the Earthwise game for civilizational transformation, in which people are being guided and trained into behaviors that are going to, let's call it, achieve the SDGs faster. There are a bit more games which I'd like to mention, and as well with artificial intelligence. So we have Sophiaverse, which enables co-creation and co-design with humanity of the artificial general intelligence, so that people can have a say to put AI to good use. Like, for example, if you contribute there, you would bring the SDGs to the fore. Jam Galaxy is enabling to co-create with the Singularity. We have Desdemona robot, which is actually a composer and also the first Android soloist. And it also enables people to get connected to directly the fans to the young musicians. So it is a project that is supporting the young musicians through the blockchain as well as through the AI. And at last, the Mandala Metaverse. Well, as I was mentioning, maybe regulation and constraints are not going to, because we always will find a way to game the system. But if we can transcend our own limitations and become more aware, Mandala Metaverse is trying to do the same through a gaming system. It is designed by the producer of the Blair Witch Project. So it is, yes, we are working with them to put that on blockchain and with our avatars done by our artificial intelligence.
What can you do in that metaverse?
Well, so it is like a quest. Of course, it's always, yes, the force of evil and the force of good. So it is a quest for good. And how do you achieve that? And that good, in the sense, you can design your own avatar, like to fulfill your highest potential. So what you can become. You design it and then you pursue it. But of course, you will have many obstacles, which are kind of human limitations, your own limitations, let's say win-lose mentality and so on and so forth. So, and you are guided to transcend those and to actually fulfill your highest potential. Please visit Mandala Metaverse. Enterthemandala.com is the website.
Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, we have a few minutes left. So, do you, following up on the obstacles part that you just mentioned, every technological journey, especially when it goes on a global scale, is a challenge. So what are the biggest problems right now for both industries converged or, separately for blockchain and AI? What are the biggest problems that you see out there that needs to be addressed, and how can we overcome them?
I would say again, yes, it's our own.
Except from fear. Or is it the biggest one?
I think in these, it's what I call the human condition. Yes, I mean we've
Human factor.
With the human factor. So we've been trained in the what I call. So there are two ways to achieve that. But on the other side, so we've been trained in what I call the certain system, which I call the Moloch system, which is not aiming towards the SDGs, but only towards competition and self gratification and so on and so forth. So all these limitations. I think these are the biggest obstacles towards achieving the SDGs and embarking on the AI for good and AI and blockchain for good, and technology can help. We can design, for example, incentives, the right incentives to guide us towards that. We can design engaging game platforms and so on. But until we ourselves are not going to want to play the game in that way, I think that is the biggest challenge in my opinion. And I do not believe that any regulation can surpass that, but only ourselves. So it's in us, the accountability and the power.
I would say this is more of a maybe ethical and spiritual challenge. As for the practical ones, is there a lack of talent flow in, let's say, machine learning experts or AI experts, or there's not?
I don't know, not in my world, because I am
not in Singularity.
I'm an AI expert, and we have many experts on our platforms. So SingularityNet is a platform of artificial intelligence experts, which are each designing their software algorithm and put it on our platform. But this algorithm can interact with each other and combine themselves into more complex. For example, one can booking hotels, one can book airplanes, and they can be combined into a travel agency. But they combine themselves autonomously. So we designed this artificial general intelligence agent. So we have a lot of, we don't have enough funding to pay all of them. That is the biggest problem, I think, not lack of talent.
This is another problem, true. Thank you, Laura.
Maybe to catch up on the funding point. So actually, when you listen to people in the UN, what they say, as it's quite hard, like we have a lot of money, or not a lot of money, but we have a specific budget to reach the SDGs. But the big issue is actually getting this money to the projects. So thinking about that, we would need to think not only in how can blockchain and AI can be used in blockchain projects, but maybe how can it be used to help in distributing that money and to help transparently be able to audit that the money went really to the projects and how and so forth. So I think that is something we could do to actually address this funding challenge, to make it more accessible to the projects. With that regard, and I do agree on the educational aspect. Funding can help, but for blockchain at least. So I'm part of the Chase project, which looks at actually knowledge gaps in blockchain and future knowledge gaps, and there will be a future knowledge gap in blockchain. And I think what's very interesting here is maybe using AI and as an agent, as we mentioned before, to actually help overcome this kind of knowledge gap.
And I think this is also the discrepancy. I mean, blockchain has more lack of talent than AI, because AI has been around since '56. Yeah. So we've been teaching it in schools and in universities, but blockchain is a new kid on the block. So that's why, yes, that's where the lack of talent resides.
Well, I hope we educated more people today. Praveen has a question. I'll give you my mic.
I have a question for Mihaela. Coming from the AI background,
can you speak?
Yeah. In the context of iGaming, I have a question for you. Where do you see AI taking a place in iGaming in the form of generative AI? Like, how does it impact and what are the implications?
And this is exactly what we at SingularityNet are working on. We are working towards the singularity. So, of course, that's why the fear, yes, in the regulatory space and so on and so forth. Because imagine when the artificial intelligence will be smarter than us, yes, what will it do? Will it kill us all? Or will it transform the world into a paperclip mountain? Or will it enable us, as we discussed, to achieve the SDGs and to have a better life for ourselves, to fulfill our highest potential? And this is all, and it resides in how it is designed. This question is not yet answered. We are organizing the Beneficial General Intelligence Conference in Panama at the end of February 2024. It is a very high, of course, stake question on the agenda of AI, because it depends on the ethics of the business which is developing. And especially I think decentralization can help, but also in decentralization, you can have the bad actors insert themselves and put those bad viruses, let's say, on our platform. So how are you going to counteract us? It's a very good question. It's still open. So
how do you bring fairness to the AI? And what is your take to make it an unbiased AI? Does this term really apply in the future? Where do you see it?
Yes. Well, there are a lot of questions there. So fairness, of course, and I think what we are doing with the decentralization, because everybody can access, it's an open platform. Yes, we are also, so SingularityNet and Hypercycle are working in tandem. We are developing the Internet of Artificial Intelligence, which is open to everyone. We also have some boxes, the routers, called Hyper AI boxes. You can Google that, which everyone can have in their home. So with regard to fairness, nobody will be able to exploit your data without your consent, because the data will be in your box at home and the algorithm is coming to your data. So that's one thing. Access, again, for everyone, because it's open. It's all a matter of education if they want to access it, but the box is like your internet router. You just press the button and it starts to work, and it will protect your data. So I think that's also, yes, related to fairness. Then education and having more women. This panel is an example, yes, in technology, inspiring other women. That's also related to fairness. And then I forgot the second or the third question, which was there.
As you already answered most of them, I think I got the third one. But in terms of the fairness, when you are training the data, of course, people will give consent, but the actors, like the ecosystem builders who are training the AI, they should take the responsibility, right? But we don't know as end users how this data was, the kind of input data, we don't have the knowledge, like me and Olga, like some of us. And it can be turned to a bad actor. It can be turned as a good actor.
That is Laura's question.
Yeah, so this is what I actually was talking about, having the DLT as a trust layer, because you can track and trace actually in an ideal world, let's say, the idea would be to track and trace where the AI got the data from. Very important also when you're an artist, and I mean, talking about fairness, again, going to that point, I could, like, if it's implemented, of course, perfectly, an AI is using a picture of an artist and transform it, then the artist could be rewarded. The DLT could help also point how the AI could then come to that decision and would have this traceability of decision making of an AI. Of course, we are a little bit further away from that, but it's like with a sentence, if 70 million people would say, I can't change the world, then where do we end? So starting somewhere, I think it's good. Of course, it needs then a lot of work, but I think combining that this way would help.